I look naked. That was so funny. I was like, guys, I just got out of the shower. No. Oh my Lord. I tell ya. Welcome, welcome. How is everybody? I'm excited to be here today. And I just want to double check something really quick. Well, I'm waiting to see if anybody's going to be able to hop on live. And today I thought I would share a little bit about futuring and why it's so incredibly important and relevant right now with where we're at in our collective journey and where you might be at individually. And so, if you've never heard of the term, futuring is a really incredible way to hold on one second. Just wanna see something. Futuring is a really incredible way to manifest from your soul. So, manifestation, I love manifestation, but it leaves out some really critical things. And some of those critical things are the difference between creating from your ego and your soul. And ego, sometimes it's challenging because ego will have us going for things and it's not really aligned with the deeper calling of who we are. And so futuring really asks you to get in touch with your soul. It's more of a spiritual way to create with the divine. And I love that because when you create with the divine, anything is possible. When you create from ego, you're going to create from a very limited perspective of your life based on your past, based on only what you know. And there is so much more than we can even imagine that can be available to us, right? So I want to share a story, and I just did a post on this on social media, but I've had this happen to me a few times in my life, and this time was pretty potent. And it was that I was sitting in a restaurant back in February 22, and I was hanging out. Ricky and I, who's my fiance, we decided to introduce our kids for the first time, and we were going to go to like a snow weekend and do all these fun things. And I remember bringing the girls, flying, and all this kind of stuff, and sitting at the restaurant and just having so much fun, seeing the laughter, seeing everybody kind of like, come together and hang out and all this stuff. And yet it was really interesting because there was also this moment where I was sitting there and I just had this like flash come over me. Like, of course I was being present, but that I had this moment of clarity that this could be my future. It was this sense that like this event that was happening could be my life. And I remember, as much as I was excited about that, I also felt really agitated because I thought to myself, well, how could this ever be, my life? I live in California. He lives here in Idaho. Although we're in love, how would I ever change my custody arrangement to reflect and be okay for me to move my daughters? And it just all seemed so impossible. It just seemed like a pipe dream, complete pipe dream of like, sure, sure, that sounds great. And it was a clue that my future self left me about what was possible for my reality. And it came through a flood of feelings, right? And it just came through this kind of knowing that, oh my gosh, this is something at some future timeline. So that's how, people talk about timelines and timeline jumping and all this kind of stuff. Timelines are when you taste something of the future, when your future self leaves you a clue and is like, hey, this is a potential reality. And then you get to choose from that moment on if that's what you really want to go for. Well, in that moment, I just kind of kept it to myself. And as time went on, I decided after, Ricky and I continued to get to know each other, I was like, I'm gonna take the action to make this a reality. And that was no easy task. Court, custody court, kids, the whole 9 yards. But so many people told me that what I wanted was crazy, that I was, um, trying to do something that seems, why would I move out of San Diego? Why would I spend all this money without any guarantee that it's actually gonna work out? And that was all true. Why would I s there was no guarantee that it was gonna work out. But I had this feeling that, it existed already, and that if I just put one foot in front of the other, that everything would be shown to me that I would need to do because I didn't know how it was gonna work out. I just took decisive action saying yes to that future that I wanted. And what wound up happening was last weekend, we did a family photo shoot. And I remember we were sitting at a table after the family photo shoot, and we had a really good time taking the photos, and I had this moment where I looked around, everybody's, like, kind of in their element, laughing, being joyful, and I was like, "Wow, this is the exact thing I felt all those years ago in that restaurant." Now, did it take time for it to come to fruition? Yes. Did it take lots of faith and trust and belief in something that I couldn't yet see that would be coming true? Yes. Was the trials, challenges, and obstacles that I had to face along the way, um, part of my growing? Yes. I believe that path that I took to say yes to my future reality that I felt so clearly that one day in the restaurant, that everything once I decided and said, I'm a yes to this, that everything that happened along the way was the exact things that needed to happen in order for me to become the vibrational match of the person that won the court case and was able to move. And I'm not gonna get into all the details, but my whole point in sharing this is to let you know that when you get these feelings, when you get these knowings of, like, something's possible, so oftentimes you may quit before the miracle comes because it just seems too outrageous. It might seem impossible like mine seemed, because it wasn't just about me, it was, the court system and lawyers and a judge and all these things that had to come into play. And all those things had to happen because every time I went through those experiences, I got stronger and stronger and stronger so that I could move because moving was really difficult. I left behind a 33-year life. It was also that when I was going through those experiences, something I clearly remember is that I was very humbled by the experience. That's one thing. But I remember many times behind the scenes thinking, "Oh my gosh, why is this specific challenge happening?" And then when I get a little distance and look back, I could see exactly what happened. It was like a piece of a puzzle fitting in to an overall scheme that needed to happen, like almost like a strategic thing that was being orchestrated by the universe that needed to happen in order for everything to come to fruition. And so if you guys are curious about futuring and you really want to create your own reality that contains, your brilliant future, because anything is possible. It's just so many people stop and they say, "Oh no, I'm not worthy of that," or "I don't know if that could ever happen," so they don't even go for it. My foundational futuring class is on sale right now. It's normally $9.97 and I'm selling it for $97 because I want everybody to be able to have access to these tools that are so incredibly beneficial. And I was telling a group earlier that one of the things that was so powerful for me was back in 2020 when I was getting certified in this, when everybody was the collective was in just a mess, it was just so stressful back then, obviously. Um, Times were very different, but there was the futuring, aspect of it, there's 4 different types of futures. There's a dark, dim, bright, and brilliant. And the dark future in the at least the collective was playing out where there was all that like divisiveness and people were scared and worried and all these different things. And here I was like, well, I don't want to necessarily align myself with what's going on. I still want to believe that there's a lot of hope and excitement and joy that's possible for me. And so I was so attracted to learning all these futuring techniques because I wanted to create for my soul. But one of the things that I had to do in the course was I had to take inventory of my reality. And this is kind of think about it this way is that if you were to think about your life and where it's heading in the next 3 to 5 years, would you, if nothing were to change, would you be happy? Would you feel fulfilled? Would you feel that deeper sense of meaning and connection? And if it's a no, then you know that there's gonna be a greater invitation for you to step into something else. And that's where you have these dreams and desires in your heart that you could ignore, that you could dismiss and say, "Oh, that's not that important," but really it is. There's a reason why that's in your heart. And those are actually part of what is the field that you're gonna use in futuring. When you start to determine, okay, yeah, I have this really exciting dream. I want this thing. Or maybe it's just even a house, but why do you want the house? Is it because you want to be able to show it off to somebody? Or is it because, oh my gosh, like that kitchen and be able to have family dinners and cook in it and have everybody come together and the experiences and the warmth? And how does that make you feel? Like that's the key, right? So when you start to think about taking inventory for your life and you start to think, oh my gosh, yeah, if nothing were to change in a few years, I might be a little bummed out. I might feel like I missed out on what was possible. So we're given opportunities every single day to change our lives. And oftentimes people are on autopilot. They're just going along, hoping that, something's going to happen. Well, no, you have to, there is grace and miracles, but you also have to be a co-creator of your reality and be in the stream of consciousness, the river of the channel. I call it like the river, the channel of life where the divine can move through you. But if you're still holding on to the past, you're still holding on to all these things, it's really hard to be this open vessel and channel to receive all the new things. So futuring is such a powerful, powerful tool to assist you in really changing your life because when you take that inventory, when you get a clear idea of where you're headed and where you're going, then you can decide, I want to create some changes. I'm going to shift this. I'm going to get clarity. And for me, back in 2020, it was my relationship space. I was in a partnership with my daughter's father, and I knew that I wasn't meant to spend the rest of my life with him. I knew that if I stayed with him, I was never going to get to the potential of who I needed to be just because of our dynamic. It wasn't beneficial and had nothing to do with the material world. It had everything to do with just like the way that we were together. And I heard that voice and I thought, oh my gosh, well, what is that going to mean? And it was challenging to hear and take that inventory and decide, wait, could something be better for me on the other side? I mean, I already have my life. Like, why would I just like implode it? And I was 46 at the time, and I remember thinking, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna be single at 46, like, who's gonna wanna be with me? Like, I have 2 little daughters, I'm gonna probably spend the rest of my life alone." All these things. And those stories and those things that can keep you stuck, limited in a future that you don't even want, like, you're just kind of, like, staying in something because it sounds good, it's checking off some boxes, but that's not what life is really about. It's about living to your highest meaning and fulfillment. And sometimes we have to let go of something so that we can welcome what we truly desire, which is what I did, which is why now I'm living this new life in Idaho with my beloved, and we have a blended family and all that, but it didn't just happen overnight. It didn't. but it happened. And I took the necessary steps and I lived my life and I chose me. I chose to live. I chose to honor these desires that were put in my heart because those desires that are in your heart that tell you, no, I don't want to be the same person 3 years from now. I don't want to be living the same relationship, job, money, situation. You want growth and change because that's how your soul wants to experience and learn through these different things that you're going to be doing in your life that you're saying yes to. That is your soul curriculum that helps you grow and expand into another level of who you are, another version, if you will. And if you deny that, and say, oh no, I'm okay living this mediocre life, what winds up happening is that you're frustrated and you just continue being on autopilot. And that's when I see people, after doing thousands of readings and working with so many different people, I see people come back to me and they're sick and they don't feel good and it just gets worse over years because they're denying the very thing that their soul has designed for them to help them grow, which is these new experiences, following their heart. So, anyways, I just wanted to share with you how powerful this is because I know that it's a game changer, that it can really help people when you start to take inventory, when you start to understand and alchemize your past, because that's a big piece of this is if you're still hanging on to what was in the past, then there's not a lot of room for what is and what you're going to do moving forward, right? So if you guys are interested, I do have that course bundle. It's called Future Your Epic Life. Some of you might have already taken it, but just so you know, it's going to be on sale through next week. Future Your Epic Life. It's going to be $97 versus $997, and it's 4 90-minute videos with homework and just like PDF stuff, support, and all that kind of stuff. And you get lifetime access to it. It's really incredible. But what I will say is that Futuring helped me create my modality, which is Heal Forward. And Heal Forward is my new program that I'm going to be starting next month. But really, the crux of it is that you're healing towards something, not away from something. So much of the healing in our current structure is, oh, I got to go back to this part of me and I got to heal this. It's not to say that you don't have to do that, but it takes up all the precedence. And it's like you just keep going back and going, okay, let me heal that version of me. When in reality, you're healing to become a new identity. And so you're doing it for a reason. There's a specific way that you're moving towards something so that you can alchemize your past. You can start to understand why these things happened in the past. And it's not such an intellectual pursuit of, oh, let me understand this. And, intellectually, it's more of like, how can I understand this from a mind, body, soul perspective so that I can move forward in my life? Because I know when a lot of people are in survival, there's no time to think about the future. But the future is the very thing that gives you hope for new beginnings and for change and for evolution. So the future holds such great importance because it is the territory of the divine. It is the very place that the divine says to you, all things are possible through me. And it's not through us in our limited vision. It's through the divine. And so when you start to think about your future, you see this beautiful blank canvas, this masterpiece of art that you get to co-create with the divine. And the way that you engage the divine is by saying, this is what I want. This is who I want to be. This is how I want to live. I want to feel this way inside of me. What are the experiences that would be the vibrational match to receive that? And you start to notice that your masterpiece becomes a little bit maybe, it maybe starts to take some form. And you create that masterpiece. And then you start living that masterpiece. And then it's not from a place of not enough, but then your soul says, I want to create a new masterpiece. I want to play in a different arena because maybe what you want at, 40 is different than what you wanted at 20. I hope so. What I was manifesting at 20 was becoming a pharmaceutical sales representative and buying my first home, and which wound up being 3 homes. And that's what I was working on in my 20s. Hustle, 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 make money, find a husband, all these things. It was hilarious. And I got all those things, ironically. And here's the thing. This is what I'll finish it with this. This is the difference between futuring and manifestation. I was really, really good at manifesting. It was for my ego. My ego thought I needed a husband because all my friends were getting married. I didn't really my soul didn't want I didn't really wanna get married. Not because of him, because I just wasn't ready. I just wasn't that in that space. And yet, I pushed my agenda so deeply, and I got it, and then I let it all go too. But me at my 20s versus me at my 40s and the level, of what I was doing then. And in my 40s, I wanted children. In my 40s, I wanted to start my own business doing this. I wanted to get to serve women all over the globe doing this. Like I shifted. So sometimes people are saying, "Oh, to always like want more things," and it's life. It's like how mundane and boring is it when it's so predictable and you eat the same things every day and you do the same things all the time, and that's not how we're meant to live. I mean, you might eat certain things because it makes you feel healthy, but you're supposed to experience the buffet. Try different things. So when you think about what your soul wants to manifest through you through this life, these experiences. And when they're really aligned with how you wanna feel your soul essences, which is what I teach in Futuring, how to get in touch with your soul essences, how to actually do these processes, how to get to this and keep it and sustain it and change your life, then you really kinda tap into the magic. And you realize that desire, so many people knock desire. "Oh, you're not supposed to have any desires." You're human. You're human, and humans have desires. That's part of why we're here. And so you just use them as a compass and you check them. You make sure that you're not just making that desire because, oh, you want to like impress the Joneses. Oh, I want to make sure I show everybody I have a Rivian or I have this new Range Rover or whatever car you think is cool. Or let me have my house be the best house on the block. Those things are all really nice. You heard me say this so many times. You can have all those things, but if you're not fulfilled inside, what's the point? What's the point? So, I just want to share with you guys a little bit. And if you enjoyed this video, please like it, share it. I'm going to be putting this on my YouTube channel. And this is in my Patreon, where if you like this kind of content and you want to continue on your spiritual journey, I have this Patreon channel called Psychic Bestie, where I go live every week and I answer questions or I teach about different concepts in real time and what's happening. And it's $19 a month. And it's just a fabulous place to grow and be supported. But yes, please subscribe to my channel and I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Take care.